Hello, good morning. Welcome to Axiom Flux News. Today's date's the 18th of February 2015. I'm PJ. I'm joined this morning with Dom and Stav. And my first article to kick us off is the Cameron wants unemployed youth to work for £1.91 an hour. If the Conservative Party win the next general election, young people who are out of work, education or training for 6 months will be required to do community service in order to qualify for benefits. Young people between 18 and 21 years old who would be made to do community work for up to 30 hours per week in return for a youth allowance of £57.35 a week, or £1.91 per hour of work. David Cameron made the announcement today, saying that this programme would effectively abolish long-term youth unemployment. In an RT report, critics condemned the Tory proposals as being commensurate to slavery, while campaign group Youth Fight for Jobs pointed out the plans would leave young people earning an equivalent wage of £1.91 per hour. The policy proposal, which is part of the Conservative plans to end youth unemployment, was announced by Prime Minister David Cameron in a speech on Tuesday. The new scheme will apply to about 50,000 young people aged 18 to 21 who are most at risk of starting life on benefits. What these young people need is work experience and the order and discipline of turning up for work each day, Cameron said in a speech in Hove. So a Conservative government would require them to do daily community work from the very start of their claim, as well as searching for work. From day one, they must realise that welfare is not a one-way street. Yes, we will help them, but there is no more something for nothing. They must give back to their community too. Community work could include helping in care homes, working in local parks, or for charities. Most young people are expected to undertake 3 months of community service. Social media users reacted angrily to the announcement. Twitter users Jess War said, "Tory logic, getting people to work for free in jobs such as care work, putting care workers out of work because people will do it for free." There you go. Open it up to comments from.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good idea. It could cut a lot of crime and all. If during the day.
But because they're being kept busy.
Well, they're kept busy, aren't they? So they're not going out committing crime or lounging around and that. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I mean, it's only people who are going to be affected is people who don't want to work. Obviously, 16 to 18-year-olds who haven't done anything and gone to college, training, jobs or anything. It'll only be them but affected. People who don't want to work. Those kind of people just affect them.
Any thoughts?
Good idea.
Sorry, PJ?
Any thoughts on this one here?
There was one I was going to cover, so I've only got one article now, but don't worry about it. It's, yeah, it's bollocks, isn't it? Well, it's total bollocks, and I'll tell you the reason why. Working for £1.91 a week, an hour. I thought minimum wage was £6. Yeah.
Well, but for a youth, it's not £6, it's £3 something.
Yeah,
I read somewhere this twat here, right? This silver spoon twat, right? That's what he is, right? He was saying something earlier on today. It's to stop this something from nothing society. Well, then he better remove himself, his parliament, his bankers, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
They're the ones that aren't putting back in.
Something
I mean,
for
only
nothing.
people are going to be affected with this, though. People who break laws.
Everything for nothing.
Airways.
Yeah, but something for nothing. The banks create the trillions of debt, supposedly debt, nothing. They get it all, and they pass it public. I don't know how many times you've got to go around the same old houses.
Mm.
People better start waking up. £1.91. What can you
Well,
get for £1.91?
I mean, I won't mind this for my kids. I mean, if my kids are struggling to find, when they leave
Well,
school, they're struggling to find, if they don't go to college, they're struggling to find jobs and that. This could give them a bit of experience at work and that.
Andy, there's not much difference because this is basically what you'd get, now. It's
It's
just
30
that.
hours working and 10 hours looking for a job in it. So 10
Yeah,
hours
Yes,
jobs
I
a
think
minute.
I think it's about time people that have got kids, adults, supposedly adults, should get from behind the comfortable settee and their brainwashing telly and actually stand up for their kids. This is the sort of world you want for your kids. You got to be joking me. Got to be kidding me. Oh, it's going to become less. When is it? When is it too much? Too less? Take the pound away. How about 91p an hour? Take the 9 away. How about 1p an hour? Because you've got to have a job. Madness. Until people wake up, you might as well get rid of that stupid little number, £1.91. Because it's never going to stop until you actually go for a bowl of soup all week. That's what it'll come down to. And I'm sure as hell glad I never brought any children into this world. And the Pope can call it selfish. Of course he will, because he ain't got so many worker ants to slave for £1.91 and look after him in his life of leisure.
I thought they were bringing this workfare out for everyone. What happened? Has that been scrapped then?
Well, I think it ought to all be scrapped. They ought to be scrapped. That's how it's going to. That's how it's going to work out, as far as I'm concerned. I think that he's actually taking the Mickey. I think he's, taking the proverbial out of people.
Labour wants to means test job seekers allowance for 18-year-olds. If they've not been in training between 16 and 18, then they won't be qualified. They won't be eligible for job seekers. But the Tories are doing a similar thing where if you've not been in training, you won't get job seekers allowance. You'll get something else what's paid at the same rate. But it's where you have to do this. What Paul's talking about. This article on now.
You don't
So
have to do
if you've
anything.
been in training, if you're a 16-year-old and you have been in training to 18, you will not have to do this work. You'll be put onto job
Hang
seekers
on,
allowance.
hang on. Are these God then? What did they invent the universe? Did they create the Big Bang? This man here, this podgy-faced little git. Did he create the
Well,
universe?
he did for welfare with reforms they've done.
No, you're missing my point, Dom. Did he create the universe? Did he create the Big Bang? Is he responsible for why we're here? Because that man, I was born because that man designed me out of the Big Bang or out of the universe or what? What right has he got to tell anybody what to do?
Well, the thing is, though, in reality, he hasn't,
he's
and
king.
people have to do it.
He's the King Cameron. He can.
Can't afford to do it. Well, I'm of the old, a few years ago, and I can tell you, most people in my day wouldn't put up with this at all. Honourable. Well, if you'd have told me this sort of thing was coming about in years to come, I'd say, well, I'm thankful I'm my age. I really am. And if I did have kids, I would be absolutely going out of my mind, thinking of grandchildren and future grandchildren, and leaving this rubbish behind, not standing up and being a man and growing a pair.
Yeah.
Got a man, you're man enough to bring a child on this earth, but you're not man enough to stand up for them.
Speaking of children, Andy, this article here is Complicit in Gaza's misery. Pro-Palestine activists shut down UK arms factory. As you can see on the image, there's 578 children dead. 2,137 killed and 11,000 injured. An arms factory in southeast England was occupied by activists on Tuesday morning in protest against its sales to Israel and Afghanistan. Protesters say the company is complicit in Gaza's misery, where 2,137 Palestinians were killed last summer. Instro Precision Ltd in Kent was besieged by activists at 5 AM on Tuesday, who occupied and shut down the factory. Taking to the roof, campaigners unfurled a banner demanding Instro stop arming Israel. 4 protesters remained on the building's roof, while 10 stood at ground level. The firm manufactures high-tech camera systems used in drones that have been deployed in Israel and Afghanistan. Located near the coastal town of Broadstairs, Kent, it is a subsidiary of Israel arms company Elbit Systems. Elbit's drones have been developed by the Israel Defense Force to kill countless Palestinian civilians in Gaza, according to the UK think tank Campaign Against the Arms Trade. The think tank adds the camera technology is used in Israel's apartheid wall and in drones flown across Afghanistan. A booming business. Tom Henderson, an activist who occupied the Kent-based arms factory, said the action was carried out to prevent Israeli arms firm Elbit from selling weapons that were used to massacre people in Gaza and Afghanistan. Elbit share price soared during Israel's military assault on Gaza last summer, where armed Israeli drones are estimated to have killed as many as 830 Palestinians. Stop profiting from murder, maiming and Israel apartheid. Merchants of death. And the images there. Despite the bloodshed its products have brought, the arms giant's business continues to boom. According to the CAAT, it's currently making its way through a $6.2 billion backlog of orders. UK campaign group London Palestine Action said Instro was shut down on Tuesday because the British government sold £500,000 worth of weapons to Israel during the state's military bombardment of Gaza last summer. So the article extends into throughout the day with these activists, or whatever you want to call them. What do you think to this one?
Well,
this is what it's all about, really, isn't it? It's about, you know, governments and corporations, and
it doesn't. It's nothing's changed, PJ. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a bit. I shouldn't have dozed off before. But the thing is, nothing's changed. I mean, my parents fought in a thoughtless, war that was all manufactured and designed, and they came out of the war and lost thousands of, not thousands, but they lost lots of friends and relatives that didn't come back from the war, and at the end of the day, what was it all about? You know, and it's just repeating itself over and over and over and over again, from world wars to area wars to destabilizing wars to economic monetary wars to trade wars to embargo war. It's just one big business, it seems to me. It just seems like one big fat business for the rich again. And I think everybody knows it. Well, most people know it. If you don't know it, then you really are comatose and there's no hope for you. But it's just, is it not the same story all over, same stories all over again, PJ? Isn't it not exactly? It's just same. And let's Look at that. Thousands of people have been killed in the past 10 years. Perhaps millions of people have been killed. And all they can turn around and say, you've got to work for £1.91 if you're between the ages of 19 and 21 because you're getting £57 a week benefit. It's pathetic. Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's probably what they'll get you doing, working at this place for £1.91 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's only for those what haven't been done no work between 16 and 18. I mean, really, they deserve it, don't they? Really, I think if they haven't done anything.
Well, they're only 16 or 17. I mean, give them a chance. Well, I mean,
Well, that's you.
what would,
But
what
that's
would
you,
you
isn't
do?
it? Between 16 and
Yeah.
19. That's where
What would
you
you,
get apprenticeships and stuff at that age. That's where you've got to train for stuff.
apprenticeships for what? Apprenticeships for what, Dom?
Apprenticeship's not a job.
No, I'm about from the age of 16 to 19. That's when they're learning the trades, aren't they? So if they hadn't done anything then it's unlikely they're going to do anything in the 20s.
I know some electricians. I know some bricklayers. I know some carpenters. They ain't got no work down here. I'm an adult. Skilled trade men for 30 years experience.
But
All
when they
the
were
way
16 to
to
19,
jobs.
they must have done that training, a bit laying, electrician or whatever they did. That's what I'm on about. They'd done something at 16 to 19.
Yeah, and
That's
they
what I
have,
mean. Those
and
people who hadn't done anything.
yeah, and I tell you what, they were just as dumbed down as what they are now because they created this mess you're looking at now. They helped create it because they were dumbed down and ignorant to the facts. There is no way today that young people are going to go and do that. Ain't going to work. It's not going to work anyway. Let's just look at the facts. £57? Is it? Okay, sorry, I'm gone off your article here, but I just leave
Yeah,
with
it
this.
is, yeah.
57 for 30 hours. They're not going to bother signing on. They're not going to bother. Why should they? What do they want 57 quid for? And work 30 hours? They ain't going to sign on. That ain't going to work.
Well, if they're living at home and the mum wants board, they'll have to, won't they?
Well, what's their mum going to do? Chuck them out on the street?
Well, a lot of mothers do.
Well, then they can't be very much of a mother, then, can they?
But it's those kids who obviously are probably not hanging on the streets, drinking, taking drugs. Obviously not doing anything between 16 and 19 years of age. So it's those kind of people who'll be chucked on the streets anyway.
All right, you got some facts to back that up, have you, Don?
He sounded like Ian Duncan Smith now.
Yeah, exactly. They've got some facts to back that up. I mean,
Let me just close this article off then and we'll move on, yeah, because it says a young Gazan who witnessed her sister being blown apart by a missile from an Israeli drone said if arms companies considered for a second the brutal impact their deadly weapons have on humanity, they would stop producing them. She told Corporate Watch a single day living in Gaza would provide valuable insight. But that don't mean to say I'm encouraging anybody to go over there, because chances of you getting back in is probably not going to be good. But there you go. The next Church of
again.
It is, because we're on round 2. Ding!
It's that man again.
The Church of England has attacked Russell Brand now. So we had Ed Miliband yesterday, and now we've got the Church of England. Russell Brand's sex appeal urges Christians to vote. The Church
Well,
of England.
People mustn't keep church in power, don't they?
The Church of England has attacked voter apathy in the UK, criticised those who attempt to exploit grievances of the electorate and find scapegoats in political life, including self-styled revolutionary Russell Brand. In a pastoral letter, the first ever to be delivered before an election, bishops urged the country to vote on May the 7th, saying it was every Christian's duty to vote and tackle head-on the growing problem of the detachment from politics. So bishops warned that people were becoming increasingly disillusioned and said voters needed to create a fresh moral vision of the kind of country we want to be. The letter said the growing appetite to exploit grievances, find scapegoats and create barriers between people and nations was becoming a worrying and familiar trend. Familiar trend. They should know. Speaking at a briefing on Tuesday, The Bishop of Norwich said the church wanted to reinvigorate the electorate and deter them from following public figures like Russell Brand, who attempt to dissuade people from engaging in politics. I think we know what this article is going to be talking about without reading it all. I'm conscious I'm just going around some of our youth groups and speaking to youth leaders that has had a more profound effect than I had anticipated. While one may think that the bishops of the Church of England don't quite have the sex appeal of Russell Brand, we think that we should counter it. Anyway, there you go. Another one on Russell Brand.
Wow, he must be really worried he's got the church having a go at him now. I don't know. Well, listen, they can vote if they want. It's up to it. It's up to everybody. You're not going to vote, Dom?
No, I'm not voting. No, I've never voted in my life. I won't be starting now.
Get fined. You'll have to do 100 hours if you don't want to vote.
If you don't vote, then you're not responsible for what they do, really. You haven't really played your part in it.
Well, some would say opposite. Some would say it's your fault because you didn't vote.
Yeah. You did vote. By not voting, you have voted because
if you voted, though, you're keeping them in power, so you're keeping them on doing those stuff what they're doing. So you're voting, you're keeping them in power, aren't you? If you're not voting,
yeah, but you could
you're
go.
Not getting them out, are you, by not voting?
You're not getting them out.
If you don't vote, that's not getting them out, is it?
No, but it causes them Parliament, doesn't it? To get kind of a message that no one's taking the bull, really.
Look, Dominic,
if it come down to one person voting, they'd take that and run it with it as a mandate.
what's that saying from that woman? If I can't remember it now. Is it if voting changed anything, then it'd be banned?
Absolutely.
Something like that. Forgot
Exactly.
name.
Exactly.
I can't remember her name.
Keeps them in power, doesn't it? That's what keeps them in power. People voting out bad news, and then they vote in somewhere fresh, and then they do the same shit. And then it's like, then you vote them out, and you vote someone else, and then they do the same stuff. And so it just keeps on going like that.
You've got it covered from all angles, I think, no matter who gets in. Right, my final article before I pass it on. Old train blast like atomic bomb went off. A train carrying oil derails and bursts into flames, slamming into a house and forcing the evacuation of hundreds of families. Short video here. Like a mushroom.
Mushroom cloud.
Mm. Okay, so a house has been destroyed and 2 towns evacuated after a train carrying 100 tankers of crude oil derailed, causing a massive explosion. The train derailed during a snowstorm in southern West Virginia on Monday. 1 tanker ended up in the Kanawha River and at least 14 others exploded. It was a little scary. It was like an atomic bomb went off, said David McClung, who said he felt the heat from the blast at his home about half a mile up the hill. One of the explosions sent a fireball at least 300 feet into the air, he said. Officials evacuated hundreds of families and shut down the 2 water treatment plants threatened by oil seeping into the river. 1 person was treated for potential inhalation issues, but no other injuries have been reported, according to CSX, the train company. Hours after the accident, fires were still burning as state emergency and environmental officials rushed to the scene about 30 miles off southeast of Charleston. The state has been hit by heavy snowfall, but it is not clear if the weather had anything to do with the derailment, which happened along a flat stretch of track. Governor Earl Ray Tomblin had issued a state of emergency. The tanker cars were loaded with Axiom crude from North Dakota and headed to Yorktown. So there you go. Another case of oil spilling. Any thoughts on that then, before I pass it on?
Oil train. Fair old explosion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that happened today?
Yeah, it's today, that, yeah.
Oh, yesterday, yeah.
Well, actually, I was speaking to somebody talking about atomic bombs and blasts. Slightly off from your article, PJ. There's only ever been 2 atomic bombs let off with intent to kill millions, thousands of people. Because somebody was on about today, he's a bit elderly or whatever. And he's got his little radiation detectors left over from the Cold War days, and you put them on your clothing or something. I don't know what it was exactly he was rapping on. He's an old boy. And he said, what with, you don't know what's going to kick off in Ukraine. And I said, well, do you think the Russians are going to actually let off an atomic bomb? And they went, well, they're most likely. I said, there's only 2 ever been let off with intent to mass murder thousands of people. I said, both of them was by the USA, weren't they?
Yeah.
So who's more likely to let atomic bomb off? And he went, well, yeah, but Russians could do the same. So I couldn't get him to understand, but that just reminded me of it today. It looks like a little mini mushroom cloud, doesn't it, going up there?
Wasn't there something that happened over in Ukraine the other day that resembled some sort of a
That's
bomb?
right. They reckon it was a mini nuke, didn't they?
Yeah.
They
I'm
said
not
it
too
was
sure on details on it, but
some power station or something on it, or something. I can't remember.
I'm not too sure. That is actually one article that I failed to pick up on time.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you, Andy, when you're ready.
Okay, am I sharing? I am, am I? Well, listen, I was going to cover this one, but we'll leave that because it's a video and I think it's going to stutter. So we quickly just popped over to Matt Drudge's site, which is always good for a last minute type thing. This is a little mini type article. It's Obama to allow moderate Syrian rebels calling B-1B bombers for air support. So let me get this right. Obama's backing al-Nusra, which is what ISIS morphed from in Syria, and he's backing them with his own US Air Force. Right, okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? Not. While Obama desperately tries to stick to his new crushed, it's a bit funny, this article, Nobel Peace Prize image by not succumbing to an all-out land war in the one nation where his progressive pacifism brought fame. According to some, the presidency, namely Iraq, the rest of the militant interventionist US foreign policy is rapidly starting to resemble that waged by the most brutal, rabid neocon Republican leader. Case in point, an absolute stunner reported minutes ago by the WSJ, according to which the White House has decided to provide pickup trucks, equipment with mounted machine guns and radios for calling in US airstrikes to some moderate Syrian rebels aided by American B-1B bombers. According to the WSJ, the planes would drop 500 and 2,000 pound guided bombs, a typical load for the B-1s, that have operated in Afghanistan as well as Syria using the B-1 sniper pod, which allows the air crew to precisely target moving objects. The crew would target tanks, motorcycles and other moving vehicles. Finally, all that near record lobby spending by Boeing, maker of the B-1B Lancer, will come in handy. Do note, only moderate Syrian rebels will be given control over US military equipment. Certainly not the more extreme Syrian rebels such as al-Nusra. Did I not just mention them? Front, various al-Qaeda splinter cells, and of course the various ISIS progenitors groups which the US is fighting this very moment. That's just one part of it. As part of America's creations of its next well-equipped, well-armed, well-trained and very lethal adversary in 2 to 4 years' time, when the moderate Syrian rebels are found to have been quite extreme, the US will also start training moderate rebels, who are waging a two-front fight against extremists and Syrian regime forces. The project timeline of the brilliant US plan, the first training session are to last between 6 and 8 weeks. Training will focus on helping the rebel forces hold territory, counter Islamic State fighters, not to take on the Syrian army. Not to take on the Syrian army. After the US will consider introducing what is called in the new Syrian force onto the battlefield in Syria, officials said a team of 4 to 6 rebels will each be given a Toyota Hilux pickup outfitted with a machine gun, communications gear and global positioning tracking system trackers, enabling them to call in airstrikes. The fighters will also be given mortars, but the administration hasn't decided to provide the teams with more sophisticated anti-tank weapons. Of course, the battle to give Qatar free passage of its natural gas pipeline across Syria is not new. Recall mystery sponsor of weapons and money to Syrian mercenary rebels revealed. The Central Intelligence Agency began a covert program to train and arm moderate Syrian rebels in 2013, providing ammunition, small arms, anti-tank weapons to small groups of trusted fighters. While that program continues, it is widely viewed as having fallen well short of its aims. The time will be different, however, because the new military program is supposed to train a larger number of fighters with the addition of air support. Officials say that it will have a more dramatic impact on the battlefield. The real question is, however, is a dramatic impact against whom? The real answer is not ISIS, which is just a straw man to the finally topple Qatar's pardon, America's real enemy in the region, Syria's Assad. Therein lies the rub. Well, he goes on, it's quite comical about it all. But just here, the last to finish it off, just my only article tonight, and then Dom can have it, which is where the latest Obama plan runs into difficulties. Is it really about, it is all about Assad, not ISIS, this guy. Anyway, further down here, it says, there's a lot of it, so I won't get. Welcome to the United States. This is a thing, actually it's neither hilarious nor tragic. Here is the blueprint by which the US government should proceed when sorting out the moderates from the merely homicidally jihadist decapitation happy elements. Welcome to the United States. Moderate Syrian rebel vetting process. To see if you qualify for 500 million in American weapons, please choose an answer to the following questions. As a Syrian rebel, I think the wordle phrase that best describes me is a moderate, very moderate, crazy moderate other. I became a Syrian rebel because I believe in the truth, justice, the American way, creating an Islamic caliphate. If I were given a highly lethal automatic weapon by the United States, I would only kill exactly the people that the United States want me to kill. Try to kill the right people with the caveat, I've never used an automatic weapon before. Kill people only after submitting them to a rigorous vetting process. Immediately let the weapon fall into the wrong hands. There's loads of that, it's a bit of a laugh, but There's the vetting process. This guy's just having a bit of a laugh with it at the end, I think. But it's funny, but you can't really laugh at it because I mean most of it's actually true what he's saying, isn't it? What do you think, PJ?
Yeah, definitely. Good though. You should have carried on. I was getting into that.
Well, there's tons of it. I mean, go there. It's on the Drudge Report. He's always good for some good stories. That's why they're trying to wipe him off the face of the earth at the moment. They're trying to get rid of Matt Drudge, obviously, because he does put some good stuff out there. I must admit, he's got tons of it. He puts up tons and tons of it. That's why it's such a popular site. But
just before we move on to Dom,
yeah,
I just want to bring you to this article before. It's the US delays Obama's immigration steps after judges rebuke. So judges stepped in a setback to the president. US District Judge Andrew Hannon in Brownsville, a city along the Texas border with Mexico, issued a temporary court order on Monday stopping Obama's executive actions that bypassed a gridlocked Congress. Says Obama said he disagreed with the ruling and expected his administration to prevail once the issue made its way through the courts. The law is on our side and history is on our side, Obama told reporters in the Oval Office. The president said the administration will comply with the judge's order and delay accepting applications from some of the illegal immigrants for deportation relief and work permits that had been set to begin on Wednesday. So, just thought I'd bring that one to you before we move over to Dominic. So there you go. All yours, Dom.
Well, I'm surprised he hasn't done. He's a bit of a president of executive order man, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He normally just does what he wants now, doesn't he? But yeah. Okay, sorry, Dom.
No, yeah, good article there. Yeah, this is my first article. Is shocking moment. Police officer slammed arrested man's head into desk in custody suit, leaving him with stitches and a £13,000 payout. This is a shocking moment. A police officer slammed an handcuffed man's head onto custody suit desk, leaving him needed stitches in a attack that led to a £13,000 damages payout. Mark Cheeseman was taken to Birkenhead Police Station in Merseyside after he was arrested in 2010, accused of running in between traffic. CCTV footage taken from the station's custody suit shows that as Mr. Cheeseman protested his innocence, he was grabbed by Constable Gregory Oakswell. This is CCTV footage inside the police station. So, slamming him down here. His head was forced onto the desk, leaving him bleeding from a wound on his chin and requiring stitches. The footage emerged as Merseyside Police agreed to pay £13,200 in damages to Mr. Cheeseman from Tranmere. This is the video of it. It's a minute long. It's starting. Well, the video was a start.
I don't want us to see it, Dom.
Yeah, no, I've actually played it myself, and it does work. I'll just think I should load it.
Give one last try.
Right, it's on now. Right, it's loading here. It's on. Slammed his head for no reason at all. This is another angle. Just does it. He didn't even say anything, did he? We're acting violent.
Did you see how quick that copper ran to his aid? And as soon as he realised that he weren't, resisting or putting up
Let's
a
clean him up now. What a
but
he's
with,
cleaning him up. He's got blood coming from his chin.
he made that copper it white just backed off as if to say, I'm only here to support my colleague.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why he came running, because he thought he were tackling a police officer.
Yeah, and then he should have realised that it was the other way around. So why didn't he say to his colleague, "Hey, up, mate, no need for that"?
Well, PC Hawkswell, he said he was charged with assault, but found not guilty by a jury in criminal proceedings in 2011. He claimed he had feared for his safety, which is a load of bull, really, because we just watched the video here, and he had handcuffs on. So what? Why was he fearing for his safety when he's got someone with handcuffs on?
Well, that's all they've got to say. That's all they have to say, and they're innocent.
They've not admitted liability either. The police station. He just awarded it at court £13,000. So that's rest anyway. It's all down here. I'm gonna read it. Anyone?
So what did he? Who got the 13 grand? The fella.
Mr. Cheeseman, yeah.
Oh, well, is he okay with that? Is he?
Well, he's accepted an out of court payment. So he said, I'd have gone to court. If that were me, I'd have gone to court. You probably would have got a lot more, probably 60,000 at least, for the situation what arised.
Well, is that going to make any difference to that? Man, that policeman's job? Will he still have his job? Will it have changed? Is it going to change?
No, he's not been charged. He's still in his job.
So it wouldn't matter, would it? How much money they paid, he'd have still been in his job, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's in his job.
So the taxpayers got to pay.
Yeah, Mr. Cheeseman claimed false imprisonment, trespass to person, personal injury, aggravated and expended damages. That was 13,200 plus costs. Yeah,
so taxpayers paying for that, yeah. So they can go around and slam people's heads on desks and then just say, "Look, I feared for my life, mate." Taxpayers got to cough up for that, have they?
And the cop exaggerated with it here. Mr. Cheeseman's law firm, Bolton-based James Murray solicitor, said the video showed that PC Hawkswell's account clearly was not plausible, which you can see in the video. It was not. He can't have feared for his safety when he's got handcuffs on. Yeah, that's that story. Moving on to Darlington Council, wrong to take child from EDL father. A judge has condemned a council for taking a baby from its father after raising concerns about its links to the English Defence League. The child, who cannot be named, was born when his mother was in prison. Darlington Borough Council took the boy into foster care, labelling the EDL immoral and racist. Ordering the child to return to his father, Sir James Bumby said the way the case was handled was an almost textbook example of how not to do it. Sir James, president of the Family Division of the High Court, adjudicated on an adoption application brought by the council. His criticisms came in written ruling following a family court hearing in Middlesbrough. The mother had not put herself forward as a potential carer of the boy, who is now aged 13 months, but supported the father's bid for custody. The social services staff said the youngster should be adopted, raising concerns that his father, now in his mid-20s, had at one stage had some involvement with the EDL. Staff also said that when aged 17, the father once had sex with a 13-year-old girl and accepted a police caution. A social worker said the nature of the values and beliefs of the EDL were immoral. The nature of the offences the man had committed against the 13-year-old girl were immoral. But Sir James said, the City Fathers of Darlington, Darlington's Director of Social Services are not guardians of morality, nor is this court. It is an undoubted fact of life that many youths and young men are in sexual intercourse with underage girls. Oh, you like that bit, Andy? With such behaviour were treated without more evidence as grounds for care proceedings years later, the system would be overwhelmed. Some 17-year-old men who have sexual intercourse with 13-year-old girls may have significantly distorted views about sex and children, and therefore pose a risk to their own children of whatever age or gender, but that is not automatically true of all such men. The judge added, the mere fact it be that the father was a member, probably one for a short time, of the English Defence League is neither here nor there. whatever one may think of its belief and policies. It is concerning to see the local authority again harping on about the allegedly moral aspects of the father's behaviour. Ada Burns, Chief Executive of Darlington Borough Council, said, "In this case, we should have given greater consideration to placing the child with the father. We have taken the issues raised by James Mumbai on board and used them to review our practice and support families. The responsibility for this has been fully accepted by the senior management and leadership of the council." So what's that, Roddy? They're actually saying paedophilia is normal if someone overage has sex with a 13-year-old girl. That's a bit wrong, isn't it?
Well, Staff also said that when aged 17, the father once had sex with her.
It is an undoubted fact that of life that many youths and young men have sexual intercourse with underage girls. I don't think that's common. So
It
he got
seems
his
to be. It
child.
seems to be. It seems to be in the establishment, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely driving establishment. It's not where the law-abiding people don't think that way.
No, of course not. I don't think so.
Middle-aged
Darlington.
mother. You want to say?
Yeah, go on, carry on, Don.
Right. Your middle-aged mother killed her drunken son, 25, by repeatedly squirting liquid morphine into his mouth for a joke. Marion Wilbur, 50, was taking Oromorph for severe knee pain. She allegedly squirted his son's Christopher's mouth from a syringe. He collapsed, passed out, and died at family home in Weybridge, Surrey. He apparently agreed for a laugh, but she is on trial for manslaughter. Willoughby denied the charge, saying he administered the drug himself. This is the Marion Willoughby who killed his son by squirting morphine into his mouth. Was it? The 25-year-old collapsed and died at the family home in Weybridge, Surrey, after taking at least 4 or 5 doses of the drug, including one he administered to himself. His mother, 50, standing trial for manslaughter, despite a jury hearing Mr. Rowley Goodchild was happy to take the drug. When paramedics asked Willoughby, who worked with the aid of crutches, why she had given her son the Oromorph, she allegedly replied, "You know, just for a laugh." Post-mortem was found the 25-year-old died from a combination of alcohol and Oromorph. Willoughby denies manslaughter, saying her son administered the fatal dose himself. He is on trial. Used a 10 milliliter syringe to suck up the drug and then squirted it into the two men's mouths, jury was told. Mr. Rowley Goodchild passed out and his mother and friend put him on a bed. They thought he was over because he was snoring, but this later stopped. They could not get a response out of him and realised he had gone cold. An ambulance was called at 4:20 a.m. with Willoughby telling the operator she thought her son's condition had been caused by epilepsy. She did not initially mention the Oromorph, reported. When paramedics arrived, she was screaming hysterically, and the crew began performing CPR. And that's a picture in there. That's a picture in. That's the house. Oh yeah. There's some pictures there. Moving on. Last one. Pensioner managed to smash up 10 vehicles trying to exit a car park. Police released the footage and said the elderly driver hit one car before panicking, causing him to jump many others as he tears around the parking lot. At one point he smashes into a red pickup truck, the driver which quickly chases after him. Amazingly, no one was injured in the incident in Wisconsin. However, the insurance companies will presumably have hours of paperwork to fill out. This is a little video of the man. It's quite funny actually. This is him pulling out. 92-year-old he is.
Look out!
He's look at him.
I think he's too old to be on the road if he got like this.
Well, that's all right. That's one way of getting them out of the way. Innit? Get out of the way. That's it. Don't worry about old bits of metal. It's only old bits of bloody metal.
Did you have his phone accelerator or something? It just spun round. You just like you just did it.
It's funny. I don't know why I found that quite amusing. Thanks, Tom. Quite funny. That's what cars are for. Having a bit of fun, dodge 'ems. Look, that's it. Get up there. I like the way this man gets out and runs after him. Like, you hit my truck. You hit my truck.
If he's done this, what's he like on road when he's back on road driving home?
Excuse me, mate. Have you just seen what you've just done?
Get up there. He came out round there pretty quick, didn't he? Look.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if he had his foot on the accelerator or something.
I'm surprised he's got any car left by the time he gets home.
Yeah.
Good in that one, Dom. Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice finish of the year for us all. So, no problem. Any final comments, thoughts, Rob, before we close up?
Yeah, I promise to. Not promise. I'll try and find some articles tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. I did have a couple of things to say before we leave, but me screen's gone. Just get back up. Yeah, for those that like what we're doing at Flux News and want to keep up with some more news that we don't really talk about on here, join Facebook page, Axiom Community, and also if anybody's come across this, it's called Traffic, third part documentary. Let's zoom it up. If anybody can find a link or anywhere we can get a copy of this somewhere, please let us know. Be appreciated if you can. But other than that, that's all we've got time for, so do join us again tomorrow for some more Flux News.